right, family, morning. It's Tasha, MamabearPrepping. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited. If you're brand new here, sit back, get a pen and paper. I babble a lot and I talk about some good stuff though. So make sure you're taking notes, writing stuff down, and let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about inflation. We're going to talk about how you battle inflation and, a coming conflict and an incoming conflict. How do you prepare and get ahead of crazy times, this inflation that's just getting out of control in everything, food, fuel, wood. It doesn't matter what you're trying to purchase in today's world. It's difficult. Not only is it difficult to find some stuff right now because of shortages, but it's difficult to swallow the price that you're paying for certain things. So shout out to New York City, you guys. I'm drinking out of this cup. I found this in an old box that we had in the garage. I was stationed there for 3 years as a recruiter, and so I have a special place in my heart for New York City. So let's get into this list, okay? It's a beautiful day, have lots of things to do. We're gonna get into painting. We're gonna get into some yard work today. I don't know what you're doing, but I hope you're up and about and staying busy and doing the things. So let's get into, I've got 12 things for you today that should help you prepare. It's just things that I'm doing, things that we're doing to get around, not even around, but get through this heavy situation with hyperinflation and inflation of products and food, right? I don't want you to take your foot off the pedal in regards to food. I want you to continue to stockpile food, but there's ways you can do it to hopefully alleviate all this struggle with trying to make your dollar stretch with inflation. Okay. And then of course people are like, what do I do? What do I do? There's a looming, incoming possible conflict, possible war. How do I prepare? And these things will help you prepare because if war gets crazy, a lot of things are affected. Money is affected. Shortages is still going to be affected. Possible rations will start happening, limitations on products because exports and imports will be affected. So this is going to help for both of those worries, if those are things that you're worried about, okay? This is not to cause panic, and hopefully this gives you some ideas. So first one, and some of these you guys have mentioned before, but I'm going to go a little bit in depth. So first one is shop sales only, okay? I often do this where, okay, we have food, and I'm going to the grocery store once or twice a week. And really, I'm only going once or twice because I'm trying to keep my eyes on the shelves, right? Oftentimes, I'm not going out and actually physically buying food 2 times a week, okay? I'm going to check out sales and to check out mostly how the shelves are looking, okay? Keep my finger on the pulse, right? You want to be ahead of anything and shortages that you see on shelves. So shopping sales though. And then what I do is I get my fresh products for the week, right? Your fresh fruits and vegetables, your fresh milk, your fresh butter, whatever, right? You get that stuff. And then, it's sales, okay? And I'm hitting multiple stores so that I'm hitting multiple sales. I'm not just going to one store and being like, okay, I shop that, but I shop clearance aisles and sales. And then I just buy those products and fill my holes by doing that only. And you'll be surprised, little at a time really, really adds up. And when you're buying sales, it really adds up, okay? So number 1 is shop sales. Number 2 is buy bulk. Now, this is the tricky one though, because sometimes buying in bulk ends up not being a better price point, okay? There was a time in my life where I never looked at prices. Never. I just went out in life, young and dumb, and would just grab stuff up and just do it. And it wasn't, this was during times when I wasn't making hardly any money, and I still was just not educated, just buying whatever and not looking at prices, right? People be like, when people talked about, how much they paid for the pound of, per pound for meat or whatever, I was like, what is that even about? Like, I just was uneducated and didn't know, okay? A lot of times when you buy bulk, people just assume, oh, it's bulk. I'm not even going to mention a store because I don't want to throw any stores under the bus. But just, you go to a store and they're like, well, if I'm going there and I'm getting bulk, they automatically think that they're saving money. And sometimes you are not, okay? Bulk places, obviously, most of the time you're buying in bulk. So therefore you are paying the cheaper price overall. But a lot of times, those people are paying for the convenience of being able to buy bulk, right? Restaurants and people that need bulk items, they're paying for the convenience to be able to buy a bigger quantity of stuff. And it's not always cheaper, okay? And also what happens is you go to a lot of specific bulk places and then you end up spending more money because there's all this other stuff that you want, okay? So be smart about bulk. When you're thinking about bulk, think about local places, co-ops, different places like that when you're talking about bulk. There's a lot of places locally that you can get, 50-pound bags of different grains and things. So Google that stuff if you don't know where that stuff's at, right, in your area, and get smart on bulk, okay? And don't just assume that I mean go to your local, fill in the blank, Sam's, Costco's, whatever, and you're going to be saving a ton of money, because that's not always the price, especially if you're shopping all the time for sales. Sometimes your sales, and if you put the sales quantities together, it ends up being cheaper. So just really work that through. And there's other variables if you're using coupons and things like that, okay? But in general, buying bulk, but be thinking locally how you can get bulk as well, okay? Third thing I have is discontinue items and or products, right? So basically just saying, hey, we're not going to use this product anymore because it's just too expensive, right? We're going to move to a different product. This could be something as simple as wood, certain type of wood you want for a project. Okay, we're just not going to do that anymore. We're going to change the project to a cheaper type of wood, or we're going to stop using certain things in our household, right? We're eating surprisingly a lot less beef, okay? And what's crazy is ground beef used to be kind of I don't want to say poor man's meat, but it was very easy for a family to get pounds and pounds of hamburger meat, and there's 1,000 meals that you can make with that, okay? And so that was kind of the go-to. Like, there's a lot of meals that easily you just get some hamburger and throw it in there. And it's surprising when inflation is so bad that sometimes other meats that were considered your more bougier or more expensive meats, like your seafoods and stuff, your salmons and your shrimp, and you go into a store and your beef is outpricing that. Like, that's wild to me, okay? So just pay attention. But one of the things is just simply discontinue. Start using less of something that you maybe used all the time in your recipes or all the time in your house, and just decide that you're not going to use that product anymore. Just period. Okay. Number 4 is try other brands, right? So we all have our name brands. We all have our go-to stuff. And it's important that there's other products out there that are just fine, okay? So change it up a bit, right? Change up and go with the cheaper product. See what it's about. See what it tastes, how it tastes. And some stuff, yeah, you can't really cut corners and just get other stuff, but try it out. There's other products out there that could be possibly way cheaper, and maybe it's just a matter of you're paying for the name, honestly. Okay. That kind of goes into my next one, or my thought process with my other one, is go generic. A lot of people stay away from the store brand products. They stay away from store brand products and the generic products. And the thing is, and the truth is, that stuff is just fine. That stuff tastes exactly the same, you guys. So, the Walmart brand, the Kroger brand, all the generic, all these stores, even Target has its own, like, in-store named stuff. I think, is it Marketplace? I can't remember. But even Target, all of them have kind of like their own generic. And so go generic. Typically generic, we all know, is cheaper. And there's this myth or this thing out there that, like, oh, it's disgusting, or it's not on the level, or something, there's a lot of myths. And generic oftentimes is, and really sometimes generic is the same stinking food, you guys. It's just packaged, okay? Those companies paid for that food from whatever company and just repackaged it, okay? Added a couple different ingredients to it, and then boom, okay? So take a look at that. Obviously, some stuff's not the same. Let's take ramen noodles, for example. Ramen noodles, there was another brand that came out. I think it was like Panda or something. Some of our kids want it. Some of the kids are like, I'm not touching it. It tastes totally different. It's disgusting. And they just don't eat. But guess what? They made a decision and they're not eating they won't eat ramen noodles, right? If we have that. So just figure it out. Go a different direction. Try out some generic, what we would call generic products, you guys. Food is food, though, at the end of the day, okay? Number 6 I have is reduce your meal ingredients, right? Make simpler meals that don't have, stop making meals that have these beautiful and sexy, 14 types of ingredients, 14 types of seasonings, 2 types of meat, a couple carbs, right? It's fancy, right? It's this full, meal, right? Cut that back. Get more simple with your meals, right? Cut back the ingredients, and that then there saves you money, okay? So, and I'm not saying cut those ingredients, like don't buy the ingredients necessarily, but spread the ingredients out. The less ingredients you use in that meal, that just means more meals that you can add ingredients to, right? I know a lot of people that are heavy-handed on seasoning, right? And they'll put 14 types of seasonings in a sauce, let's say. And yes, is it delicious? Yes, it's delicious. But could you have made a delicious sauce with just adding, maybe 2 or 3 seasonings? Absolutely. Okay. So I'm a foodie. I love food. So don't get it twisted. I love cooking. I get that 100%. But if we're talking about inflation, we're talking about getting ahead of stuff. Cutting back your ingredients is a way that you can do that, okay? And not making such complicated meals and getting down and simplifying those meals, okay? I just coughed and it reminded me of a comment I got yesterday, but I'll leave that alone. Number 7. So number 7 I got was preserve your sales, right? So if you are out and you are finding sales, you're finding great sales, you're getting a bunch of stuff that was on sale, preserve that, okay? Make that last. You got a bunch of chicken on sale, preserve that. Can it up, preserve it, and get it going. If it's going in the freezer, take the time to unwrap it, and put it in food saver bags, repackage it so that it will last longer in your freezer. Plus, repackage it smaller portions too, right? Maybe not as big of a portion for a meal, and do that, right? Start doing that smaller stuff with your preservation, right? Preserving in general really makes you conscious about your food, you guys, and your food quantities, because it's a little different when you take that food from preserved rations, right, from that area. I'm way more conscious about how many jars I'm taking of something when it's canned, or if I'm popping a Mylar bag or a jar even, I am way more conscious of like, okay, do I really need to do this? How much do I need, right? Because it took so much love and effort to do that in the first place, okay? I can't explain that. It's kind of a weird one. That kind of goes into my number 8 one, which is can your food. Can your food because it reduces the amount of what you are taking, right? If I got a package of chicken and that made, let's say, 4, I'm just guessing, you guys. Let's just say the package of chicken I got allowed me to can 4 quart-sized jars of chicken. That one package might have been a whole package for our size of family now that I would have just easily pulled out, made the whole thing of chicken, and then we would have had leftovers, and then people went and ate it, whatever. But it's crazy because when you get that chicken off the shelf, I'm like, no, what can I make with 1 jar of the chicken, right? How can I spread this chicken? I'm not trying to grab no 4 jars of chicken and make my meal out of the 4 jars of chicken. No way, you guys. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about you almost want to grab less because you're so much more conscious of the effort that went into that and how silly it sounds that I would get 4 jars. They're large jars full of chicken for 1 meal. It makes you realize it's so wasteful, okay? And we're so used to just grabbing, let's say, a certain package or something of meat and just saying, hey, that's for 1 meal. Yes, I get it. Some people are conscious and say, okay, this is a big thing for my family. I'm going to split this up in 3, repackage it, put it in the freezer. And so by doing that, that does help that process. But I'm telling you, a lot of families, they're just grabbing a package and just saying, hey, okay, we'll have leftovers. And then sometimes those get ate, sometimes they don't, okay? And so money is wasted is what I'm saying. Food is wasted is what I'm saying. And when you're grabbing something that you had to pop a bucket open for, pop a Mylar, even jars, I put stuff in jars, it's a mindset that I pull that out and like, oh, do I really want to use that? Okay, I'm not going to use so much of it, that type of thing. Okay. So it's important. Like, even if we grab soup, I'm really conscious of like, okay, how much will that feed? Who are we feeding? Who's really going to eat it before I'm, popping all this stuff. Okay. All right. Number 9 is cut the junk. So I'm just telling you, the agenda is to make money, and junk, these pre-processed, if they've processed anything, added stuff to it, your chips, your cookies, all the stuff that you can go in the aisle, and it's what I call your microwave, right? Your freezer to microwave type items, right? Burritos, pizzas, like you name it, just all that stuff, cut that, because that stuff is going through the roof and it's not even good for us. It's not good for us, right? And so if you start cutting the junk, now listen, I'm not perfect by any means. We have junk here, you guys. We have freezer to microwave items, okay, in the freezer. We have chips and cookies and all this stuff, okay? I'm personally a chip head, okay? We have soda. We're a normal family, okay? But what I'm saying is I'm trying to give you ideas. These are ideas that we do try out from time to time, and it's important. And so we're trying to do the same and cutting back and spending the money on the junk and buying that for real food, okay? Clean eating, real food, okay? Because that is what's going to keep us alive, A bag of chips versus some chicken, which one is going to give you more energy to do the things you need to do? Real food is what's going to give you energy. It's not going to be that stuff. And then most people don't have a way to even cook that stuff if grid down happens or whatever, okay? Maybe you have a way to power your fridge or freezer, but if it's full of all types of like microwavable type stuff, that stuff gets very difficult to try to repackage and recook in a different way. It's just messy, okay? So cut the junk. Number 10 I have is just say no thank you, right? There's going to be days where you're going to go to the store, you're going to see something you need, whether it's food, whether it's a product, and you're just going to have to say no thank you. That price is just too high to pay. Did it the other day with chicken. Thank God I found another product, but I looked down and this family size thing of chicken was like, how much was it? $25 or $30? And I was like, no, I can't do it. Thank God I just went right over to a different brand of chicken and it was way cheaper, okay? Like half that price, okay? So I just walked over and got that, you guys. But there's just going to be things that you're going to just have to say, no, thank you. I can't, my family can't, we can't do it. We just can't do it right now, okay? 11 I have is cut outgoing money elsewhere, okay? So common sense, just, start cutting money other places, right? Subscriptions, getting coffees all day long at a coffee place, daily getting your lunch, buying your lunch when you go to work, right? Buying your dinner when you go to work at night. Just simply taking lunches from home makes a huge difference. Taking those leftovers for lunch to work is a huge thing. I'm not this huge, obviously this isn't a finance channel, this isn't a money channel, but when we're talking about preparedness, we're talking about inflation, we're talking about how to battle that, it's important for you to think about where the other places your money's going, because again, my concentration for you is to continue to stockpile food. Okay. And so a lot of people will tell me, I don't have money. I don't have money for prepping. I don't have money for stockpiling food. And I would venture you probably have subscriptions. You probably have, vices, things that you do daily that take your money away from you, that you could cut back on so that you could then buy a couple more cans of food each payday, okay? Number 12, my last one is ration and limit yourselves, right? So start, rationing. We've talked about this on a few videos, rationing, how to do this, something as simple as saying, hey, 2 meals out of the week are not going to have meat. Like 2 of the dinners in the week are not going to have meat. Or 1 day a week, all the meals, we're not going to have any meat. It's going to be meatless all day long. There's different things you can do, portioning, cutting back on the amount of food that you're actually physically making. Instead of just saying, I'm going to make this big pot of food and, oh, well, if I have leftovers, we'll eat it. Really be conscious of how much do you need for the portion amount for every single person, because off grid, that's what it's going to become, right? You're going to have these recipes where you're trying to not make as much food in your crock pot, and it's going to be measured out quantities so that you don't miscalculate and have all this extra food sitting around, okay? You're going to want to be very, very particular when you're cooking off grid, okay? Okay, so that's what I got for you guys. This is stuff that we're doing all the time to get ahead of inflation, to fight this inflation battle, and to get ready for conflict and war and the problems that come once we physically engage in war, okay? And even if we are not the ones that are physically engaged in war, if war pops off and we're just supporting, that's a huge thing. It's still going to affect us, even if we're just supporting, meaning we're feeding the Ukraine army with stuff, or maybe we're helping UK, or we're sending in supplies, food, whatever. That is still supportive, and that is still going to have blowback on us because we are involved. Okay, so there's going to be things that affect us if that war pops off. I mean, because we've already engaged too far. We've already done too much, right? We've already sent troops. We've already sent missiles. We've already sent aid. We're in it. So get ready, right? So I hope you guys are well. It's sunny outside. We're going to get some stuff done. We're going to get some more painting done. It's a beautiful day. Just an update. Things are going well with the septic. I'm way, you know, they took a lot of my money yesterday, a lot of it, but we're doing well. So thank you for your prayers. We feel blessed, and we'll see you tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.